Today I would like to talk to you about the so-called basic programs. The basic programs, as I call them, determine the flow of information and processing in your brain, in your subconscious. I would first like to explain the basic blocks in this presentation to you. On the left side you see the environment in red. This can be information from the environment, but also sensory stimuli from the body. Then we have different sub-areas in the subconscious, which is the green part of the whole. You see the dark green memory area, which is divided into two parts, the subconscious memory and the conscious memory. But we still find a third memory area, the so-called dissociated part. Then we still have various functions, the programs that work. They are all colored yellow. The most basic program functions here is deletion, distortion and generalization. The three programs are run to establish an attunement. The task of the basic function is to understand and adopt sensory impression. For this they must be compared with what is already understood. However, since they are new, parts of the new information must either be deleted so that only the matching part of the information remains, or the information must be changed, distorted, so that it fits into another. Only then it can be put in order. The generalization function determines whether an assignment can be made with the help of a distortion or an erasure. If this is not the case, the information is stored in the dissociated memory for later processing. Of course, the information already stored from the dissociated as well as the associated memory is also necessary for the processing of the new information. If everything runs optimal, the consciousness is aligned. Then it provides the context for the filter function, which is highlighted in blue in this diagram. It checks whether the information is currently relevant or not. This is only partly the filter function between the conscious and the subconscious. If the information does not fit into the context currently provided by the conscious mind, then it is stored in the subconscious memory. However, if it fits, it is appropriate to the context of the consciousness, then it is also stored in the conscious memory. In addition, of course, it is also directed upwards to the consciousness. As you may already know, consciousness can also construct situations that are then shared with conscious memory or stored. What can you learn from this slide for practice? On the one hand, that all sensory impressions are stored, that particularly unfamiliar stimuli is stored in a dissociated manner, which means that they cannot be reached consciously. In practice, for example, this is always the case when we are in an extreme situation. Psychiatrists may call it a trauma. The information stored here cannot reasonably be built into the network of your personality. Nevertheless, attempts are constantly being made to transfer this information from the dissociated memory into the normal associated one. So, to find a generalization, to finally understand it, if of course this consumes a lot of energy and resources. It is therefore important to keep this area of memory as small as possible in order to generalize dissociated information as quickly as possible. We can consciously access the conscious and subconscious part of the memory by setting the context of the filter function, and its information forms the working basis of the higher programs. Of course, you will also find a link about the higher programs under this video. However, what is very important is the fact that no information from the outside flows unprocessed into our consciousness. Everything is distorted and parts are erased. Optical illusions are the best example of making such processes perceptible. They arise when bad generalization provides bad sensory impression. For example, here in this animation. Concentrate on the middle part of the animation. This illusion is less about an optical illusion and more about getting used to a stimulus. According to the motto, what has always been the case must be true now. After looking at it for a while, even after we no longer see it, our brain will deal with the newly provided information in a similar way. It always rather processes the normal new images we see with the same processes as before. What worked continues to work. That is what the subconscious in quotation marks thinks. We see the same movement, the same pattern superimposed for a while. But the context of the perception is also closely and directly related to what we perceive. In this example, blue bars are on different backgrounds. Only one shade of blue is represented throughout the image, but this is perceived differently, depending on the background. So you can experience directly how the context and the surrounding are very important, even within this level. The size of these circles, for example, is also influenced by their surrounding. Both center circles are the same size, even if the subconscious in the brain makes something different out of it. Everything about these boxes is crooked, or, in fact, it's just right angles and straight lines. So you could say, you lie to yourself all the time. You can't help it, and your inner world will always be your own. Not two worlds are exactly the same. And then you have to admit that to everyone else. How do we behave now to minimize this effect? First, we must accept this fact and not take it personally. On the other hand, we can never automatically assume that we know exactly what another person said or means. Everything that builds on it stands on shaky foundation. That means we can't really be quick to judge or blame anyone. Unfortunately, the reality is different. If this makes you think, please like this video. And if you are also interested in the higher programs, feel free to click here and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss anything in the future. With this, you really help the channel, and as always, it costs nothing. Please leave comments in the comment field, and that was the official part now. There's nothing more from my side here.